You're going to need something like this to do the job. I'll show you what I did to make this one to get the job done. Welcome back. We got a 2003 Chevy Tracker, or otherwise known as a Suzuki Grand Vitara. It came in here for a brake job, but we also have a problem with wobbly wheel bearing. That's pretty bad. So we'll be swapping out the wheel bearing on this side. First thing, obviously, get the wheel off. We got our wheel off. We got our little dust cap that has to be removed. Oh, came off. Good. You got our caliper unbolted, hanging by a piece of wire. Those are 12mm bolts. And we need to get the 17mm bolts that are here and here, holding on the whole bracket for the caliper, and get that out of the way. Those bolts are out. Pull that out of the way. Get our rotor off now. Now we need to get these broken free, all these 10mm bolts. Stick a little pry bar in over here for some leverage, and then loosen all of these up. They're not super tight. Get all of these out, and this hub you could pry it off. All right, this will pop off. This is what the hub connects to your axle through that little adapter flange, or whatever you want to call it. So now, you gotta take the screws out that hold that little retainer. There are 4 of those Phillips head screws. Let's see how tight they are. Well, not super tight. They're in grease, so they shouldn't be rusty. All right, let's get all of these out. This is what locks the adjuster behind that. So let's get this out first. This can come off now. And this is the nut that holds in the bearing. There is multiple holes to go in different spots for that adjuster plate. There we go. And there's a spacer behind there too that needs to come off. Now in theory, this should just slip right off. And you could see that it's loose, but the bearing on the inside, it's actually 2 bearings that are like sandwiched or split in the middle together. That one is stuck. It's going to require either a puller, or we're going to bang on it first. We're going to take the brake rotor, an old one, put it on reversed, put the lug nuts back in, and be able to bang on the outside edge, maybe a little bit on this side too. Hopefully it'll loosen up. Otherwise, I got a big slide hammer tool that we're going to have to try to hook on. And the axle stub here may be in the way a little bit, so we could pull. There's a little snap ring on over here. We could pull that off and then push that inside, maybe to get a little bit of room to get the puller. You don't want to push off directly off of this, at least not a lot of strength if it's stuck. We'll see. Let's try the beating with the rotor method first. Okay, our rotor is on backwards. Still stuck, obviously. We got a big hammer. There's not a lot of room to hit it on this side where the caliper is. It's a little more open. I'm going to put a pry bar against the back of the steering knuckle here, pushing on this one's too big. I'll give it a little tension on one side, and then we'll hit on that side. Hopefully it'll kind of come off. It's moving good. Fly off and hit me on my lap. Awesome. Got a little rust in here. All right, we're going to get our lug nuts back after. Get them off later. There is a separate bearing also on the inside of the knuckle for the CV joint over here. That one should be fine because once this is locked in place on the hub, it spins good. This is how the hub connects onto the outside of it. There would have been a locking hub on some of these before, the older ones, where you could turn the hub off and on. We're going to get a whiz wheel tool and clean up all the rust off of here so the new one will slip right on. Got a blue one on here, not too aggressive. We're just going to lightly hit it. You could use sandpaper too if you have it. I probably will end up using some sandpaper because I can't really get into all the spots here. That's all nice and clean. We're going to get a little never-seize, anti-seize compound and put it on over here and slip the new one on so it won't rust on again. And get our new bearing. Comes with a little wheel for your ABS sensor on it. You can see it's actually two halves. There's a little line in between. I believe it's ball bearings, two ball bearings. They're already pre-greased. You don't have to grease it again, and it should slide right on. Let me put the stuff on there because if it doesn't want to slide off, I don't want to have to try to pull it off again. One more time. This is like a little sandpaper sponge. We might have to tap on this a little bit. You never want to tap on the outside. Tap on the inside here, we'll get a socket that'll fit over. Let me see if it slides on here first. A big enough socket here. There we go. Is that all the way? Yep. Nice and easy. All right, the new hub bottomed out. If it's going to get... When we tighten it up some more, it'll bottom out the rest of the way. But it should be right there. It spins nice and smooth. We got to put our little washer on here first. Put it on the same direction that it came off. You could see the holes that were on the other side. I'll kind of lock into those. We got our ring, the nut. Which way was it? It was this way, I believe. The torque value is really high for this. I was surprised at how much it needs to be. And without the right socket, it'll be difficult to get to the right spec. And I did not have the right socket. So desperate times call for desperate measures. The auto parts store had this, which was a 4-prong tool that I had to bend the prongs in a little bit and then grind them around to fit inside here. I may have to do some more grinding on it. I might put it on and tap it in place and then torque the nut to a spec. Last resort. See if it works. Close up. Put the socket in the vise, put an adjustable wrench on the prongs and kind of bent them in and then ground to kind of round them off. So it gets on there. I might give it a few taps to push it on a little bit more and then go for, the spec is anywhere between 123 and 155 and 180. Everybody I checked says different things. We're shooting for 120 right now. We'll see how it lines up, or one over like 125 or something. And we'll see if the plates, how they line up. We'll have to tighten it some more then. That seems awfully tight to me, but what do I know? Socket tapped on there again. We ground it down a little bit. It did slide in a little bit deeper than what it was before. We will try to get to our torque of over 120 for the first time, and we'll see if we get there. Should be pretty close. Yeah, there we go. We are at 124, 125, 124. I'm going to bump it up a little bit more to 126. Bearing still turns nicely. That's good. Try for another click on here. I'm not pushing past it more, so now I'm even more. All right, let's get it off. I'm gonna put a little mark on it. So I put the prongs back in the same holes that they were in. So I got a little red mark here. There's our little line right there and a line right there. So we'll put the same prong in the same spot since it was happy there. How's our plate doing here now? We could be good for those holes right there now, just a little bit tighter, but I really should get a little more torque on this. Let's bump it up. 136. That's way past 140 now. See where we are. Nowhere near any holes. This one, gotta go a little bit more. We're getting closer. Just a tiny bit more. That's what we're going with. Okay, we got it within the specs. We have the plate lined up, so all 4 screws will get to a spot, and we have it on actually on the down part. So sometimes you could have it up more on that keyway where it could back off a tiny bit. So I actually have it set up where it's sitting on the back of that, the lower part of the keyway, and then we'll tighten that up, and there's no chance that it would even back off at all because it'll be stuck in there really good. Let's get our screws back in there now. Okay, we got the plate on there with all the 4 screws back in, and now we could put this thing back together. And if you've gotten this far in the video and still watching, I need you to do me a favor. Click the like, click subscribe. Thank you for watching. If you took it apart yourself already, you should know how to put this back together. So I don't need you to show you how to do this. Thanks again. Going in, let's go. We got work to do. I got a list of stuff for you to take care of today. You gonna handle it? No?